that would then be on the table. I think what Ms. McBride is
No,
calling.
it can't.
It can't come back as a second reading because the first reading wasn't approved.
The motion was, no, Andrew, the motion was.
No, I don't think you would approve the first reading and then send it back to the committee, to the policy subcommittee to be rewritten, if that's the question.
So you would have to vote it, vote no, and then it's not accepted for a first reading.
That's apparently what you're hearing. You don't want to withdraw that motion, so yes.
Yes.
And we don't even have to go back to the policy can pick it up or not.
Well, the motion's been shot down, and I think Adams, if the first motion is to
Except as is.
accept
No,
as
as
is,
a
that's
first
fine.
read, as a first
Otherwise,
reading.
I think that if that goes down, then Adams' motion would be entertained, which is to send it back for a rewrite or modifications.
Then I'll adjust my vote to a nay.
So then we've clearly got,
Likewise.
yeah, so then that first motion fails, then I think the second motion would be Adams' motion to return it to the policy
Okay, so
subcommittee
now-
for revisions.
So now we'll vote on Adam's motion to return
And
it.
that's been seconded.
Can we please just, I'd like to see a show of hands of the nays for the first motion.
I would like the first motion restated. I'm confused.
The first motion is to accept this as is, as the first reading.
First reading.
Yes.
The first reading.
Okay, so nays are.
Nays.
Okay, so now we're going to vote on the second motion, which is to send this back to the policy subcommittee for review. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No. Are you opposed or?
This is like, I mean, it's
like third grade,
This
you
is
know?
not even how we're supposed to do this, but that's all right, we're good.
I'm doing my best.
No, I understand, but I mean, always in the past,
I just feel like Andrew
Yeah,
is
no.
here to advise us on
That-
this.
that-
but always in the past, you know, we've passed it as a first reading, and the chair has asked the policy to take a look at some of the input from the day and see if there need to be adjustments before the second reading. Because the whole point of first reading is so the public can make comment, so that other people can make comment, and the policy can come back with the second.
I do understand that, and I respect that. I think given the dialogue here, the changes, my suggestion would be, as the chair has said, to deny the first one, just send it back.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to number 7.
So this is coming back here for a first reading.
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
Is that? Okay, recommendation S 2018-24 that the school committee, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, supported by the policy curriculum subcommittee, approve the second reading of the Narcan policy, JFCI.
Motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Second,
Discussion?
Thank you for adding elementary schools to policy committee.
And Madam Chair, just for the benefit of those that are in the audience, this revision did what Mrs. McBride just said, just add elementary schools to the schools that will carry naloxone, and then it just updated to allow for what is actually maintained within the schools to be in accordance with what the Rhode Island Department of Health's current recommendations are. So there was something in there, there's a table in the policy that says what will be carried, and the Rhode Island Department of Health changes that from time to time. So this change brings that table up to date and states specifically that that table will be amended as the Rhode Island Department of Health recommendations change.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Okay, recommendation S 2018-25, the school committee, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, supported by the policy curriculum subcommittee, through the second reading of the reporting known or suspected child abuse and or neglect policy.
Motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Second.
Discussion?
Question, Madam Chairperson. It looks like there was a change made after the first reading.
Yeah,
Now
well-
on the second,
Yeah, what we wouldn't do a few minutes ago.
which is why I voted, because I don't like doing it this way.
I don't
We
either.
didn't do it this way in the past.
No, I used to be so excited when you actually passed it for the first reading. Remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. I draw your attention, please. I just need to be enlightened on this because it's not clear to me. On section, let's see here. It's on the protocol, 2, then you go down to B and 2. Okay, step 2. That's where the addition is. Okay, now I'm trying to take this from paper to how it actually works in reality. All right? Now here's how I follow me on this, would you please? Okay, so I'm a social worker. Okay, and this fellow over here is having a problem. This is okay. Tell me what's going on, and realize I'm not obligated to call the police. Just tell me what's going on. You tell me what's going on. I said, pardon me for a minute, would you please? I go over here. Hello, Madam Administrator. I'm obligated to tell you what's going on, knowing full well that you're obligated to call the police. So you call the police and go back to this guy. Now I'm back to you. Oh, by the way, the police are on their way. Well, what's going on? You said you were going to call the police. I know, but I'm obligated to tell this person who's obligated to call the police.
Isn't that the law, Andrew? No, I mean that you have to, even if you're medical personnel of some sort, isn't it a law that you have to report to somebody if somebody's going to harm somebody or?
Yes.
You talk about the mandatory reporting? Yeah,
Yeah,
if you have knowledge.
yeah.
I guess
And Bill, that does lend itself to multiple reports from multiple employees, staff, people over the same incident.
which doesn't concern me, well, because it just seems disingenuous. I'm saying, oh, I don't have to call, but I'm going to tell this person who's going to call.
Well, no, you call.
So,
Yeah. I don't get called.
Mr. Odell, I actually had a conversation with our attorney about this particular point, and the issue here was that social workers and school psychologists had concerns over their ethical obligations related to providing the direct report to the police, such that there was, they didn't feel comfortable making that report directly, even though it was required by law. And if I'm misstating this correctly, but my understanding is this is a workaround so they can still comply with the law and not run afoul of their own, what are really personal ethical beliefs.
That's correct. What happened here is you have two things. First of all, you've got a reporting to DCYF and then you've got a reporting to the police. The law requires the reporting to DCYF. It doesn't specifically require reporting to the police, although we advise, as do I think all the school districts in the state, advise not only reporting to DCYF but also to the police. However, social workers and school psychologists, while they have no issue with the report to DCYF, have raised concerns based on their separate rules and ethical obligations about making a report to a police. So the term workaround is absolutely correct, that what we've done in those cases is those individuals will work with the principal or the administrator to get that information.
So it's a way that the proper authorities can be called.
It's a way of ensuring that
without violating the ethical
without potentially
restraints.
violating the ethical concerns of the nurse, the social worker and school psychologist.
Now, do the people that the social worker is working with understand that, or do they have to understand it?
When you say that people work with,
You're talking about the students.
Yeah.
yes, I mean, if a student reports to anyone, social worker, psychologist, teacher, anyone, that they are in some kind of suffering abuse or in some kind of potential harm, that has to be reported to DCYF. That is the law. Doesn't matter whether they know or not, quite frankly.
I understand. I was just confused that until now, it just seemed, I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It seemed rather disingenuous that I'm saying something over here,
It's-
but I'm doing something different over here.
It's a very well-intended statute that has grown arms and legs and caused incredible turmoil throughout the state for teachers and administrators and DCYF and everyone involved. They're trying to work through it. The policy that you guys have in place with this amendment, I think is the best interpretation of the law and the best protocol to make sure the district and its employees and the kids are all protected.
Okay, that's where I got to put my area of faith in that. Our attorney has just said, you read this, and this is,
Yep.
you're okay with it, as you said last week, okay with it.
Madam Chair, so on that last point that you just made, Attorney Hayes, my my understanding at least is that they're currently considering revisions to
Yes.
this law
Yep.
at the General Assembly. And do you have any familiarity with what those revisions are and how they might impact this policy?
I'm not, there's a number of revisions being discussed. I'm not personally familiar with what they are. All the school departments are monitoring it closely to see what they may be, what gets legs. It's a difficult, it's not an easily answered question, to be honest with you. They're trying to protect as best they can the rights of children, but I do know that since these cases have become publicized, I think the stat I heard was DCYF reports were up. This might sound crazy, and I apologize if I'm getting it. It was like 600% or it was just an absurd number because of the concern and the liability attached. And, so there are a number of different legislators, to answer your question, that are proposing different potential solutions. But it's not going to be easy because it's a judgment. It comes down to a judgment call.
And the bottom line is we have to do a policy for what the rules are today and not necessarily. I mean,
That
we have to
policy
come
is
there,
drafted
obviously,
to
and-
ensure that, to the absolute best of this district's ability, something that should be reported is reported. And I would much rather have it reported 11 times by 11 different people than not reported at all.
Any other discussion on that one? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, recommendation S, 2018-26, that the school committee, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, supported by the policy curriculum subcommittee, approve the second reading of the technology resources responsible use policy GCQB-JFB.
Motion to approve, Madam Chairwoman.
Second.
Discussion. This one is our tech use policy, and we have added some parts on internet filtering. And our tech guru Rose is responsible for making those changes so that it is safer for our students. Any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Recommendation S, 2018-27, that the school committee, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, supported by the policy curriculum subcommittee, approve the second reading of the controlled substances and alcohol testing for employees, CMV drivers.
Motion to approve, Madam Chairwoman.
Second.
Discussion? Just for members here, really quick, this is we have one driver that this policy affects, one bus driver in our district, and it is a policy that is extensive, but we have to have this by law. So we made some edits, and generally speaking, this is what I believe, Andrew, all of the districts have a driver or drivers in this capacity.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
To the clarification, Madam Chairperson, the way I read the motion, the public may misconstrue CMV isn't the policy, no, CMV drivers.
That's right. All in favor?
I just have, I have a question. I'm sorry, but you don't have any identifying policy number on this policy.
That comes at the end.
There's no identifying policy
Right,
number
well,
on this
after the
policy.
second reading, it gets assigned.
Well, on these others, it says
It's because they're existing policies.
GCQB or whatever.
Sure,
It's
existing
because this
policies.
one's
Okay, thank you.
Okay, recommendation S, 2018-28, the school committee, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve 2018-2019 school calendar.
Motion to approve, Madam Chairwoman.
Second.
discussion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we table the discussion of the school calendar until the April regular business meeting to allow us time to go through the current this current calendar. We're in now the spring break meeting this week, and then we have time to consult the parents to determine if this change worked or if this change did not work.
Second.
Discussion on that.
Well, yeah, discussion at that point, it's a good point. I had the same kind of question, because as I recall the conversation we had with all the folks that were here, and we did promise a revisit to see, okay, pros and cons, did it work, didn't work. So for that reason, unless we shouldn't delay it, I don't see harm in delaying it, you know what I mean?
Is there harm in delaying it?
Okay. Any other discussion, or shall we vote on that?
What I'd like is to let people know that this is the policy, the calendar is being adjusted, and so people do come forward, and we're not just talking to our friends, that it's open to the public and everybody else is aware that we will have that discussion, because each of us all have individuals that we talk to, and they may be biased in one direction, and I'd like to see that we try and get as wide an audience on this as we can.
Agreed.
Dr. Andre, is it possible that we could solicit input from parents similar to what we did for the graduation venue issue that came up?
I guess so.
Perfect. Notify everybody in the district as well as
Survey.
survey for parents and teachers throughout the district.
We would need more input than that. I mean, there's a national trend to change the calendar. We need input from, what's happening in other parts of the state, what's happening in other parts of the country. Is this a trend that we should continue? We have to take input from everyone.
Well, I don't think the suggestion was that the only thing that we would consider as the results of the survey was others. I think it was the request that a survey be done.
Correct.
And I think that that point is a very good one. One of the things that was discussed last year was that there was at least some indication that the district thought it was getting, that this was a direction that other districts in the state might be moving in. It would be good to know whether or not that is in fact happening or not happening. In addition to it being good to know whether some of the concerns that some of the folks raised last year regarding child care issues and other things have come to pass or not. And just so folks know that the calendar that is proposed for next year would be, for the most part, consistent with this year, with there being a 1-week break in March, and it would be currently set for the 3rd week of March as opposed to the 4th week, but it's very similar to what everybody is currently experiencing for the first time right now. So having a year's worth of experience and understanding makes a lot of sense.
John?
Madam Chairwoman, I've had 7, I'm going to call them families, who have talked to me about this in the last 2.5 weeks. And there was only one family that thought it was okay. The rest felt that it encumbered them in ways that, so that they couldn't do what a lot of their friends and relatives from other districts and everything. So at this point, I think it's a bust. I don't think it's favorable to our district, and I certainly don't think it's favorable to our teachers. We have a lot of teachers who are married teachers, and because of that, it caused a problem when their spouse is in another district and is having a different, the old system that we always had. And so I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree that the last go-around of this, there was mention that other districts might be following along in this, and other cities and towns nearby possibly making it easier on parents and teachers. So I would like to follow up on that and see if that's something that will be happening.
Is there a way, Madam Chair, to your point, Mr. Adele's point, I mean, if we could look at our neighboring communities, and I think one of the points that was made at last year's meeting was that until the state mandates a calendar, until the state mandates teachers' contracts, and we all have the same PD days, it is going to be different. But if we can work with our neighbors in East Providence, Tiverton, Portsmouth, Little Compton, Middletown, and get an East Bay calendar, let's say. So that's something that we share with our neighboring communities. That might be a way forward. So if we can investigate that as well.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes.
being in my position at state, I'd like to tell you that Commissioner Wagner said he is not going to set anybody's calendar at any of the districts. That was his position 2 weeks ago.
Well, any more discussion on this one, or do we want to vote on the motion to table this for now? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Of table.
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 So Marge is a no, and, okay, so now we can move on to the subcommittee reports and initiatives. Let's start with the budget facility part.
Well, we made for finance in pretty good shape. It's still a lot of time before we'll know where everything, what has happened because of different factors and different bills that are coming in and healthcare and all of those percentages. So we had a great attendance at the last budget subcommittee meeting. It was really exciting to see all those people there. It was great to talk to them. But I would say, Holly and Dr. Andre, that it would be May before we really know what it is we're going to do and where we'll have to make those cuts. So I think everybody, as I said at the budget subcommittee meeting, should just stand down and relax a little until we see where we are. Does that sound good? And our budget meetings are the third Monday of every month.
Thank you. The next is policy and curriculum, so that's me, and our next meeting is Monday, April 2nd at 6 p.m. That's at the district building on State Street in Bristol. And I have yet to set that agenda, but I will post to make sure that everyone knows what we will be discussing. Thank you. Next one is personnel and contract negotiations.
Right.
It's okay.
Yes, Paul called me to let me know that he wanted you all to know that it's time to do the superintendent's evaluation. You have in your packet the tool, and you also have the items from the superintendent demonstrating his actions. And Paul asks that you please use the parts of our tool that refer back to what Dr. Andre was talking about in his paper, and then make your evaluation from there. We also suggest you visit with the superintendent if you have questions or anything else that might be coming up. And that's how we're going to handle it. Well, let's see, this is